Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember, you can find us on SABC Network. Now, that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is newsnetwork@sabc.co.za on email. Our Twitter poll this week is asking us about World Social Media Day on social media in general. Now, World Social Media Day is on June 30 every single year. We're asking if you think there should be better or more regulation of social media spaces. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this particular episode. We find out about a new education and technology report. This as we do know that education revealed a massive digital divide. The CSIR had an expo that showcased some of the technologies they're working on, including AI. And in our conversation, we find out about why there seems to be a shortage that goes into the tech startup sector. We do know that there have been various problems in introducing technology to education, and this was laid bare with the digital divide that came through because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But there's a new report that looks at issues of technology in education here in South Africa.
Like hundreds of millions of other children worldwide, Boikanyo Dlamini was getting used to doing classwork online. After her high school closed because of the coronavirus outbreak in 2020, she received homework through a smartphone app. Then schooling halts. Her mother, a domestic worker, had to go back to work in a neighboring province of Free State. She took her phone with her.
Came to online studying because our network is not good. So again, we don't have laptops and computers. This coronavirus thing, COVID-19, really affect us because we can't do things alone. We need a teacher to tell us if we are wrong or correct.
As the virus has turned online conveniences into daily necessities, learners like her, most of whom live in Free State rural communities, have been cut off from their regular lives, especially when it comes to education.
It stems from the very real issues of class division, inequalities within our societies, and the digital divide is just but a byproduct of those. Our awareness thereof allows us to be in a position where we say, look, what are the possibilities? Let's address the barriers.
Vodacom says it is partnering with Nelson Mandela Foundation to launch digital tools that can transform the education sector in the country.
Well, certainly from a Vodacom South Africa perspective, we've been running the Vodacom eSchool for many years now. It covers the curriculum right from grade R through to grade 12. It follows the approved local curriculum, and it provides learners with an opportunity to better themselves, better their studies. So that's it's been a passion point of ours for a long time. As I say, and a very successful program it has been this far.
Those in the education sector say while these digital innovations have the potential to transform African education, there are a number of barriers to digital access.
We shouldn't be talking about the digital divide, but it's a reality, and the pandemic made it very visible. The difference between the resources, between middle-class homes and middle-class schools, and poor homes and poor schools. So when the pandemic breaks, if you're in a middle-class school and a middle-class home, there's a connectivity that existed before the pandemic. So the children in those circumstances obviously don't feel the kind of loss of learning that children in poorer homes where there's no connection to the school. You're lucky if you get printed material, and very often it must be downloaded on a WhatsApp from the school if you're lucky. And then that WhatsApp only works if your parent has data. So the digital divide reflects the social and economic divide in the country.
Here, experts agree that in order to address the digital divide experienced by many underserved communities, taking a holistic approach to the issue is vital.
The Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, that is the CSIR, recently hosted an exhibition of some of the best things that they're working on in the technology space. These include artificial intelligence.
One of the industries whose face is hugely being changed by the integration of technology solutions is the health sector. Remote hospitalization and virtual consultancy by means of telemedicine are one such example of how the medical field is transforming, and South Africa's Curo Medical has jumped onto that bandwagon.
So Curo Medical is a digital health company, started in 2018, although we first accepted our first patient in 2020 in the midst of the COVID pandemic. And our philosophy as a business is making healthcare more accessible and affordable for everyone. A big challenge the world over is that of hospitalization, where we're seeing increased number of hospitalizations becoming increasingly expensive. It's a big driver for healthcare costs, for medical aid premiums, and yet studies have shown that patients actually do better at home.
Also joining in on the trend and ensuring that the country is not left behind in this fourth industrial revolution is the Council for Science and Industrial Research. They hosted an exhibition showcasing artificial intelligence technologies aimed at improving South Africa's healthcare system earlier this week.
What we are trying to solve is we are trying to automate the diagnosis. We are trying to teach the machine to do the diagnosis of different diseases. So what we are trying to do as well is to apply our technologies at the remote areas, like in the rural environment where there are lack of facilities. So we want to use the machine to replace those sophisticated equipments in there. So if we can get the machine to diagnose different diseases instead of having the complicated machinery. So that's what we are planning to do.
So this technology is just aimed at having to do TB diagnosis on a larger scale. So imagine you get 100 samples from, let's say, a prison, and you want to test all those 100 samples, and you want to find out whether the 100 that you've taken samples from, they have TB or not, and you want to do it before the end of the day. Now, if you do that, if you are using conventional techniques like what they use in clinics and hospitals now, their techniques, they normally are actually expensive, or they take longer to give you an answer whether the person has TB or not. So with this technology is so that once you have those samples, you actually diagnose those samples within, let's say, an hour. You can diagnose each sample, or you can diagnose many samples at the same time, so that you have an answer by whatever time you need those results, so that you can initiate TB treatment, so that you actually prevent this more spreading of that TB.
I think innovations now are really starting to build up against similar future pandemics as well. So it has really got most science industries at arms and prepared, especially with innovations for similar pandemics.
Despite the significant advancements, challenges related to data privacy, algorithm biases, and regulatory frameworks must be addressed to ensure the responsible and ethical use of AI in the health sector. Striking the right balance between technology and human expertise is crucial to maintain patient trust and ensure the delivery of high-quality care.
Let's go to our Startup Corner now, where we're finding out about a new technology desk. It's called MyDesk.
Hello, my name is Talita Budram and I'm from MyDesk Global. The MyDesk is a revolutionary wheelie school bag that converts into a desk and a chair with a solar light and USB charging portal for children in the rural areas. The MyDesk started as my science project when I was 16 years old and in school, and solves a great need, as according to UNESCO, there are over 3 million children in South Africa alone that do not have desks at school, 95 million children in Africa, and just over 400 million children globally that do not have desks at school. Not having a desk affects a child's handwriting, their focus, their concentration, their homework delivery, and their overall academic ability. It can be also very compromising of the child's dignity when they are expected to sit on cold, muddy floors for the entirety of the school day. The My Desk lasts 12 years, which is the entirety of a child's schooling career, and is in alignment with 6 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in accordance with the 2030 Agenda. The My Desk unclasps at the hooks and opens up into a fully functional desk and chair, and is able to store the books while it is closed and open in the desk form. The My Desk has a solar light with an advanced solar panel to charge the battery, which provides the light for the child during load shedding, which provides light for up to 4 to 6 hours. If you would like to foster global education with us, one desk at a time, please visit www.mydeskglobal.com. That's MIDESKGLOBAL.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat about why there isn't enough funding for tech startups. This is especially because VCs are pulling out some of their funding. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a huge uptake of various technologies, and a lot of people started thinking that maybe they should also create technology startups. But there was a time as well when there was slow shipment of various devices. This was because of that microchip shortage that came as well. That was quickly resolved. But now there's a new problem in technology. There isn't enough funding for startups that are doing the rounds. To talk to us about some of this, and maybe venture capitalist funding as well, as venture capitalists are said to be pulling their money away, is Brendan Peterson, who is the editor of Business Day Switch. Thank you very much for being a part of our network. Maybe if you can start by explaining what exactly is a venture capitalist.
So I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible, and I'm hoping no venture capitalists come after me for this. But the simplest way is to sort of say it's a company or person with private equity investing in a sort of early stage startup company. It's obviously one that's going to be able to make high income as it expands, but obviously they're going to want something in exchange for that sort of investment, and that's usually a stake in the company, but that's usually what it is.
And is there enough money doing the rounds, especially from these people?
I mean, not in South Africa, not in Africa, but also not really in the rest of the world. And, you've got to look at this macroeconomic climate we're seeing sort of everywhere right now. This sort of recession, are we in a recession, are we not in a recession, is impacting everybody. Everybody's being a lot more careful with sort of where they're spending the money and how much money they're spending or investing.
There is no money, as you say, there is no money. Where do startups go? Where should they go?
It's a lot more complex question, I think, than a lot of people would think, because I think if you look at where money's being invested right now, one of the big things is obviously AI startups. But if you look a couple of years back at, blockchain, crypto, NFTs, it was a mad sort of gold rush for that. And we saw that didn't work out. So I think that combined with that sort of economic climate, people are being a little bit more hesitant, cautious in terms of where they invest, even with AI startups. And in South Africa, we're not seeing a lot of that. So I think the advice for sort of people in South Africa, in Africa is, get a bit more business savvy as well. Because if I'm investing money, if a VC is investing money, we want to invest money in a business, in a person who has the business sense. And I think, as a whole, we maybe don't have access to that information to become more business savvy. So I think that's actually your first step before you even start saying, I want seed funding, I want VC funding. Start there, get a good business plan, learn those things, and then you can start approaching that ones, because you're automatically more attractive if you've got a solid plan that you can say, this is how we make money.
And those that are investing, where's money going? What type of technologies?
If you're looking in South Africa, you're looking, across the continent, I think the needs in terms of where we need technology, where the potential lies, is not in AI. It would be in education, it would be in fintech, because across Africa, most of the investment money is going into fintech. If you look at sort of the cost of remittances across the continent, it's very expensive in and out. There's a lot of investment in terms of that. So I'd say, put some money in there. Look at how we can solve those problems.
And how soon do you think things are going to start looking up again?
I think a lot of us obviously want it to turn around very quickly. I don't think it's going to turn around as fast as people would like, but I think it is turning around faster than most people would expect it. So, I don't want to say 5 years, 10 years, but what I can say, there's a lot of the big companies, the global sort of multinational corporations, investing money, investing time, investing in the infrastructure. And that's really what we need, because for change to happen, you need the education, you need the infrastructure. And I think also that's going to guide people in terms of where to invest, where to put the startups. So I think the change is happening. It may not be as in your face as I think people would like it to be.
All right, sure. Thank you very much, Brendan Peterson. Brendan Peterson there is the editor of Business Day Switch. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Stay with us. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the technology space.
Amidst the hustle and bustle of daily life in Nairobi's Kibera informal settlement, an educational initiative has been taking root, empowering the community's children with vital coding skills. Code with Kids, founded by Renice Owino in 2015, aims to provide children from Kibera with access to coding education and resources, leveling the playing field with students from more affluent areas.
We started with Tinker. How Tinker teaches us how to code. You're coding the game, and we went Scratch. Scratch teaches us, we make our own games and stories, animations. I went to Microbit, making letters, and now I'm robotics, making the robot follow what you command in coding. It's what the sprite or the robot will do.
Since founding Code with Kids, Owino, who grew in Kibera next to the Adinani family, has been able to attract a growing number of volunteers to help her with her initiative that is now reaching around 2,000 children.
We are trying to make sure that our community is in the same space as other schools or other places. So by just coming to a school and training the learners and also involving the teachers in, it not only empowers the student, but it also empowers the teacher, because if a teacher understands what that specific topic is.
And now in Nigeria. A man in a green and white colored jacket rocks his body to the tune of a flutist he is watching on his phone camera. Not too far from him, another one listens as a woman in a colorful hijab is praised by an admirer for her beauty, butterflies dancing around her head.
I was fascinated by the technology. Then I thought about it, how do I infuse it in my artwork to stand out? Because basically we've been seeing the normal paint on canvas, we've been seeing people come up with different styles, different museum, different movements. I said, okay, let me create my own movement entirely, do something unique, do something extraordinary. So, I decided to infuse the AR technology into my paintings, whereby I bring them to life.
The art was talking to me, like checking this art behind me, smoking a cigarette. Imagine your art smoking a cigarette, someone coming to light it up. You see some other arts playing the flute. You see another art, cars moving, like an artwork is having cars moving. You hear sounds like Oju Elegba, very iconic places in Lagos, you understand? It's an experience you need to experience, actually.
AR is becoming rapidly more mainstream amid innovation and better integration onto mobile devices, with the AR gaming market expected to reach a value of almost $300 billion by 2023, according to Infoholic research. A dancer stands motionless while a white robotic arm rises from behind her. As she starts to move, another white limb joins in, creating a performance where her biological and robotic arms move seamlessly in a wordless interaction between human and machine.
この腕の特徴はですね、こうやって人の2本の腕以上にたくさん腕を増やせるってことだけではなくて、実はこれ背中のソケットでですね、外したりつけたりで、さらに別の人に貸したりということもできるようになるんですよね。
For now, the Jizai arms can be controlled remotely by manipulating a scaled-down version of the arms, moving the wearable version in sync.
June 30 is World Social Media Day. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you think there should be a regulation or better regulation of social media spaces. That's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za, on email. From me, Spumela Lazondi, and the rest of the team. Bye-bye.